The vault door is already closed. The lock was turned before the crisis had a name. The gold sits behind it, unmoved. Gold reserves define what a government may spend. The rule is older than the crisis. No one in this room wrote it. In 1929, the rule still holds. 30 nations have agreed to it. Agreement is not the same as understanding. A currency pegged to gold cannot expand freely. The peg is a promise made in calmer times. The times are no longer calm. Bank runs begin quietly. A line forms before anyone calls it a crisis. The line is the crisis. When depositors withdraw gold, the reserve shrinks. When the reserve shrinks, the rules tighten. Tighter rules mean less money in circulation. This is not a paradox the system was designed to resolve. It is a paradox the system was designed to ignore. The rule does not include an exit. Interest rates are raised to defend the peg. The cost of borrowing climbs across the economy. Businesses that were marginal become impossible. Factories reduce output before they close. The reduction is not visible from the outside. The outside looks the same for a long time. Prices fall across sectors without a single decision. Deflation spreads the way cold does in a building, through the structure, not through an announcement. Falling prices feel like relief at first. Then they feel like a trap. Then they become the expectation that prevents recovery. Central banks in every country face the same constraint. Gold reserves cannot be exceeded. The constraint is international. The suffering is local. No government openly admits the peg is the problem. Admitting it would require abandoning. Abandoning it would mean breaking a formal commitment. Gold flows between nations without regard for need. It follows the rules, not the conditions. The conditions have changed. The rules have not. Britain holds the peg through 1930. The decision is described as necessary. Necessary is a word used when no one wants to say chosen. Unemployment rises in countries that stay on the standard. The figures are recorded without urgency. The act of recording implies the system is functioning. The United States raises rates in 1931. Europe is already contracting. The decision transmits through the system like a temperature drop. Capital flows away from weakening economies. It moves toward gold-credible nations. The movement is automatic. It requires no instruction. Germany loses gold reserves at an accelerating rate. The Reichsbank has limited options inside the standard. Limited options held to the rules produces only fewer options. Austria's largest bank suspends payments in May 1931. The suspension is formal. The effect is not contained. Confidence crosses borders faster than gold. The crisis moves nation to nation through the reserve system. Each country's response is constrained by the same rules. The rules were designed to synchronize. They do. Britain's reserve falls below the threshold of credibility. Not suddenly, over quarters. Recorded each quarter. The threshold was always precise. The approach was gradual. In September 1931, Britain leaves the gold standard. The announcement is brief. The implication is not. Every nation still on gold reevaluates its position overnight. Nations that leave the standard earlier recover sooner. The data is consistent across cases. The system rewarded exit. Exit required breaking a commitment. The United States remains on the standard until 1933. Each month of adherence deepens the domestic contraction. The commitment is maintained. The economy is not. Those who document the mechanism keep returning to one fact. The harm was visible. The rules were also visible. Both were present. Only one was acted on. Bank failures in the United States number in the thousands. Each failure removes money from the system permanently. The standard does not permit replacement. Agricultural prices collapse further each harvest season. Farmers sell into a market that cannot absorb supply. The mechanism offers no adjustment for their circumstance. The Federal Reserve holds excess gold above its minimum requirement. It does not use it to expand credit. Holding is not the same as conserving. In 1933, Roosevelt prohibits private gold ownership. Gold is called in. The peg becomes a domestic instrument only. The system has crossed a boundary it cannot recross. The devaluation of the dollar follows the collection. Prices of imported goods rise. Farm prices rise with them. The recovery is partial. The system is different. France remains on gold longer than any major economy. The commitment is treated as national identity, not just policy. Identity does not respond to economic argument. France's industrial output contracts through 1935 and 1936. Nations that left gold are recovering. France is not. The commitment holds. The economy does not hold with it. The gold bloc nations coordinate their deflation. Coordinated deflation is still deflation. The coordination gives it the appearance of choice. Workers accept wage cuts to preserve employment. Wage cuts reduce spending. Reduced spending deepens the contraction. The logic is individual. The effect is collective. Economists observing the mechanism disagree on cause. Agreement arrives later, after the damage is complete. Understanding a system and changing it are separate problems. The World Economic Conference meets in London in 1933. Its purpose is coordination. Its outcome is dissolution. The nations cannot agree because they are no longer aligned. Global trade volumes contract by 60% in 3 years. The contraction is institutional in origin, not natural. Natural systems do not have rules that accelerate their own failure. Tariffs rise as each nation attempts to protect its reserve. Protection compounds the contraction it was designed to address. Each barrier makes the next country's problem worse. France devalues in 1936. The gold bloc dissolves. The last structural commitment to the interwar standard ends. What remains is the damage accumulated while the commitment held. The standard is gone. Its consequences are not. Industrial capacity lost during deflation does not auto-restore. The exit solved one problem. It inherited the others. Planners at the next generation of international meetings begin differently. The starting point is what the standard prevented. The architecture they design accounts for the room to maneuver it removed. The Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944 embeds flexibility. Flexibility. It retains gold. It limits the rigidity that destroyed economies. The lesson is structural. It is written into procedure, not law. The new system includes a mechanism the old one refused. A country under pressure may adjust its exchange rate. Adjustment requires permission. Permission replaces automatic deflation. The interwar standard is now a case study in institutional rigidity. It is taught as a failure of design, not a failure of will. The distinction determines what the next system is built to prevent. The vaults that held the gold still stand. The gold inside them no longer determines what a government may do. The rooms are unchanged. Their authority over events is not. The harm that accumulated was not hidden. It was reported, measured, debated, and maintained because the rules provided no authorized exit. The standard persisted because breaking it required courage the system did not reward. Staying required only compliance. Compliance and continuity were the same act. This is what institutional inertia looks like from the outside. A building, light in its windows, someone leaving at the end of the day, and an economy somewhere waiting for a decision that does not come. The gold standard did not fail in a moment. It was maintained past its usefulness, then abandoned. The gap between those two events is where the damage lives.